So I just want to bring up some of the things as I have really always loved lifting weights, but yeah, I slowly turned that into learning about bodybuilding. I want to quickly bring up James Hollingshead, the Shed, him being at the Comic Con thing. I thought it was really cool. He mentioned that it was probably one of the best things that's happened to him, or a couple best things that's happened to him ever. I mean, he looks like a shed, a unit, and it's pretty cool that a guy who dedicates, just like Comic-Con artists, they dedicate a lot of time and money to perfect their costumes. Like, he is his costume, so his body. So it was kind of cool that he took that part, and you have like a specimen amongst men just walking around and enjoying the Comic-Con for all the nerds. And look at that guy. Like, imagine seeing that walking around. It does look fake, but it's real. So I thought it was pretty cool. I think, honestly, he would have a great future with doing some kind of Comic-Con appearances, even like movies, commercials. Like, he could. He's very down to earth. He has a personality, so I don't think it'd ever get to his head. But it's just pretty cool to see him interact with his fans in completely different way. And I mean, new fans too. Like, they literally, like, I don't know who you are. I know Kratos, and you played him well. And I mean, it's just really cool to see. So if James is watching this, man, like you said yourself, bodybuilding, eventually has an end. You would have the ability to jump into something like this where you can be amazing and, really make more and more of a name for yourself in other fields, because I think he deserves it. It's pretty cool to watch. And I would hope that he'd come to like a Utah one. I'm over here in Utah. It'd be really cool to see him. Or if I could ever fly out somewhere closer where he would be, it'd be really cool to see him in person. Anyways, that's that. And now I'll jump into Fouad's, beef with Bob. Just to summarize, essentially, Fouad had said that, the sports representative for bodybuilding needs to do more. And Bob Chicarillo is that representative, and so he kind of took offense to it. So Fouad, the recording I have here is from Bodybuilding Bullocks, their podcast, and he pretty much says that he apologized to Bob personally, and then, which was pretty nice of him. It shows the type of character he is. And also he went on saying, however, like, there's still something that can be done, which is so true. I think the lighting is sometimes probably the worst thing, as well as like who's ever in charge of the live, it cuts out, especially during the Olympia, things like that. People are paying money for this, for the seats, and then as well as the backdrops, and trying to find a middle ground with the sponsors and their signs, sponsorships, and essentially saying we just need to create dialogue so we can have open communication and make something happen good from that. So that's what the news is about there. And then, as you guys probably know, if you follow the Bodybuilding Podcast, Paul, the older gentleman in the bottom right, he got a nipple piercing because he lost a bet. And so on Instagram, they show the piercing happen. It's pretty freaking funny. And Paul looks freaking good for his age, and I don't know how old he is. He looks like he's in his 50s, but he looks really good. I mean, if I saw him at the gym, like, him, Fouad, and Ben may say they're retired, but they're still, like, unnaturally huge for normal humans. And, I mean, Paul's, like, even though he's smaller, he's unnaturally fit. So it's just cool. Like, it's kind of cool to see that they're older, but they still got it, I think. And they still look really good and way above average for people. So it's kind of cool to see. So yeah, I just want to give my little 2 cents in the whole podcast and a little bit of news of bodybuilding. The last news would be Chris Bumstead having a new coach. Who knows? If it's Hani Rambod or whatever his name is, last name, I don't know. Until Chris Bumstead says it himself, or honestly makes some kind of announcement about that. Until then, I'm just not going to spread any false information. So there you have it.
Bob Chicarillo put a video out and was upset at some comments I made at the live podcast we did. The comments I made were that we didn't really have an athletes rep, and the athletes rep really didn't do much for the bodybuilders. So Bob took exception to that and was pretty upset because I think he has done some things. So I guess I just want to apologize to Bob publicly for saying that he did nothing. I'm sure he's done something. He listed off a few things he's done. That being said, I do think more can be done. So I apologized. I had a phone call with Bob, and I apologized to him in person or on the phone, whatever. And I said to him, I apologize for offending you. I apologize for making my comments too drastic, but I do think more can be done. I didn't really ever get an email or anything from anybody about an athlete's rep. I knew Bob was the athlete's rep, but I never really got anything from him saying, hey, I'm your athlete's rep. If you want anything, let me know. Like, there was really no communication. It was kind of just a known thing. And I think it's still kind of that way. So, and James, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you've gotten any kind of correspondence, let me know. I don't know. This is from the people I talk to. That's kind of what I hear, is there's not really any real connected communication. So one of the things I thought was, should there be an athlete's rep for the girls and an athlete's rep for the guys? Would that be a good place to start? Because there are so many pros. I think for one person to cover all of them is pretty intense, right? Like, and also you're not going to, I don't know if you're going to be able to cover all the pros because there's so many pros now. So does the athlete's rep talk to the top 20? Does he talk to the top 30? Like, how do we measure who the athlete's rep talks to? Or does that person have to talk to everybody?
Right. You're outspoken, right? But I feel like that's where the athlete rep should have been the bridge between you and the IFBB and the, or some.
I suppose, it would have been, like, in a situation like that, it'd be great for us as athletes to have someone that we know we can reach out to for questions like that. And
that's kind of my ultimate, kind of the ultimate thing I was saying is I'm sure, and I don't want to make this about Bob. I'm sure he did help people get over, but I think the fact is that I don't think athletes know they can contact him. I don't think a lot of athletes know that he is their athlete's rep. And I don't think.
Yeah, listen, I get on with Bob every time I see Bob.
Yeah,
I've been in airport stuff, get on like a house on fire. Yeah, I didn't know that he's the person I should contact though.
Then this is kind of what I'm saying.
So it's news to me as well. So not
And so in my opinion, it's like the athlete's rep at the beginning of every year, or you can have a group, a Zoom call with any number of athletes and say, hey guys, I want to hear your suggestions. And then that person can go and relay them, right? Like that's part of what we're talking about.
Webinars, but it might be good, wouldn't it?
And you're right, because it might not change anything, right? They might go, no, this is what we're doing, but at least we get a rationale behind.
It'd be
this
nice
is
to
why
hear.
we're doing it, rather than the four of us sitting around theorizing, well, it's because of sponsorship money or it's because of this. We're fucking guessing at this point. So if you have the conversation and they go, well, we hear you, but the reason why we're doing it, and they can lay out, and we go, okay, now we get it. Okay, fine, we'll stop asking the question. But those conversations aren't happening.
And one of the things me and Paul were talking about yesterday is there is, we were talking about a standard. Another thing I mentioned that Bob had took issue with was the lighting. So me and Paul were talking about venues. There is a standard in the contract for venues. The CPA has to approve the venues that we choose. If we choose to do it in my backyard, they're going to tell me to fuck off, right?
Right. And that's, I'm not calling them, I'm saying like anyone, right? Me and my wife, for instance. If we don't communicate something, that's just me being lazy because I didn't bother bringing it up to her. So unless we do that, then we're not going to get anywhere.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to something more fun.